Today we're going to do what no other Smash Brothers YouTuber has ever done before, and that's cut Smash Ultimate's roster in half. So who stays? How many Fire Emblem characters will be left after I take most of their characters and throw them in a fire? And how many Fire Emblem fans will be left watching this video after that happens? All those questions and more will be answered in this video, but first let's establish some ground rules before we get this whole thing going. In Smash Ultimate, there are around 89 characters depending on how you count characters. It's kind of hard to divide 89 evenly, so I'm gonna make this more of a challenge of myself. So we're cutting the roster down to a total of 44 characters from 89. That's a lot of people we had to take out, but that's part of the challenge. Also, in this hypothetical situation, we are assuming that if we're bringing a character back, they stay exactly the same. They don't have any major changes to their movesets. That means no Echo Fighters making a jump to a full brand new character. Can't bring back Daisy with the intention of making her have her own moveset. You have to bring her back as the Peach clone that she currently is. I'm also trying my best to accurately predict a situation or scenario that will probably never happen. At least, you know, the roster won't be cut completely perfectly in half. I'm gonna do the best I can. I do like most of these characters on this roster, so it's gonna be kind of tough to cut some of the characters that I do like. For my final rule for this challenge, bias is allowed. My list, it's my video, so my bias will sneak in at some points in the video. So if you think, oh, he just picked them because he likes them better, not because it would actually happen or they're more deserving or something like that, yeah, I will try my best to remain impartial, but bias is going to happen. It's bound to happen, and it's also allowed. Okay, now that I have all the ground rules out of the way, you can go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. Okay, now we can start the video. Okay, let's start with the Super Mario series. There are 9 Mario characters, so we've got some work to do. The obvious locks are Luigi, Bowser, and Mario, I guess. I'll also keep Peach, and that's it. That's all I'm keeping. No Bowser Jr., no Rosalina, and no Piranha Plant. The clone characters in Daisy and Dr. Mario can also go. If we're gonna have like a 40 character roster, we have to have characters who play differently from one another. We don't want a clone for everybody in the roster. But hey, you know, 4 out of 9, that's not too bad.
Congratulations! Failure!
Now for the Mario adjacent characters, which are Yoshi and Wario. They're both staying because if you show these characters to anybody on the street, they're gonna probably know who they are. They're pretty iconic characters. Don't really have a reason for them to be cut. Both have their own series of games as well as being big players in the Mario series, so they're both staying. When it came to the DK series, I knew Donkey Kong of Donkey Kong wasn't going anywhere, but I couldn't say the same for the other reps in the DK series, being Diddy and King K. Rool. Diddy Kong has been in a whole bunch of playable appearances, while King K. Rool only recently kind of made a comeback. But he's still a very iconic villain of the Donkey Kong Country games and has appeared in some spin-offs here and there. Even though he's kind of forgotten by Nintendo for several years there, he's a villain, and villains are kind of hard to come by in the Smash Bros. Series, so that's also a factor of keeping him. So I ultimately went with the very tough decision of cutting none of them and keeping them both because I'm a coward and I couldn't choose, so I'm just gonna keep them both.
Congratulations!
Metroid. This is a very easy decision for me. We technically have 4 Metroid reps, 3 Samuses, and 1 Ridley. Ridley stays, obviously, and Samus, the OG Samus, stays. That's obvious. But what about Dark Samus and Zero Suit Samus? Both other Samuses. Dark Samus definitely goes because it's just Samus if she went to the dark side. Zero Suit Samus is a character who's been in like not a lot of games. Obviously it's just Samus without the suit, but how does that even really make sense if you've got Samus already? I don't know. I guess the same way that Mario and Dr. Mario can both coexist in this game. I think that it makes more sense, especially for cutting down the roster to 40-ish characters, that other versions of Samus's go, and we're just left with Samus and Ridley. I think that makes the most sense. Don't think a lot of people are going to debate me on that.
Congratulations! Failure!
Zelda. Same thing as Metroid for me, really. The Zelda series has 3 Links, 2 Zeldas, and 1 Ganondorf. Keeping the Ganondorf, keeping the original Link, keeping the original Zelda. So let's get rid of all the extra Links and Zeldas, and that does include Sheik. Ever since she got separated from Zelda, I feel like she should have got cut. I honestly don't know why she's still here. And Smash did do a better job this game of making all the Links play differently from one another, but I don't think we need 3 of them.
Congratulations! Failure!
For the Kirby series, we are cutting nobody. Pretty perfect with the 3 reps they have now. One had to go, it'd probably be Meta Knight. They're all pretty popular characters, and I think 3 is the perfect amount for the Kirby series.
Congratulations!
Pokemon. Now for a series that might result at me getting things thrown at me if I choose incorrectly, and that is Pokemon. Please keep in mind, I'm begging you, I haven't really played Pokemon, okay? Please understand that if I make a choice that you don't like. Pikachu obviously stays, I'm not cutting Pikachu. Mewtwo also stays. I feel like he's a very popular Pokemon character, especially for somebody like me who doesn't know a lot of Pokemon. I definitely know who Mewtwo is, not just because of Smash, because of his influence just in pop culture. Also kind of like a villain. You know, Mewtwo kind of fill that role. I also decided to keep the Pokemon Trainer. Not only is it a really cool idea for a character, but also we get to kind of cheat here and keep 3 characters in one slot. But also we get to keep Charizard, who's a very popular Pokemon. So I mean, it's a win-win. Now for some of the cuts. Please don't get mad at me. Pichu, mainly because of the clone stuff I've talked about before, but also he was kind of a joke character in Melee. He came back for Ultimate, which is cool, but he's not coming back again. So goodbye. Incineroar is also getting cut. With the generation that he came out in, he was, at least from what I understand from researching, was not the most popular pick that could have been chosen out of that gen. I think his design's cool. I think him having like wrestler type moves is a pretty cool idea for a character, but he doesn't use a lot of moves from his actual games, so it's just another reason on the list to cut him. We're also cutting Puff, which sucks because she's really fun to play and also hasn't missed a Smash Bros game. But I think even in Smash 64, when she was one of the original 12, she was kind of a niche pick, and I think if Pokemon were chosen today to be in Smash, I don't think she would be on the list. Now for the one that might get things thrown at me, we've got Greninja and Lucario left, and I'm only going to keep one of them. This is a really hard choice because they're both very popular, but I ended up going with Lucario, which means that Greninja is going to be the one getting cut. I just think he's more fun to play and has a more interesting gimmick with his aura mechanic than Greninja does.
Congratulations! Failure.
Now it's time for Star Fox. All 3 of these characters play basically the same, so I think I'm gonna keep the Fox from Star Fox. I also wanted to keep Falco just because Fox and Falco were pretty iconic in Melee, but yeah, it's just gonna be Fox that stays.
Congratulations! Failure.
Fire Emblem. Like Pokemon, this also might be a controversial topic, and like Pokemon, I will be cutting quite a few characters. Marth stays, but I'm going to be cutting his clones and his clones' clones. So Roy, Lucina, and Chrom are all gone because they don't offer a huge gameplay difference from Marth. Corrin is also gone because no. We'll keep Robin because Fire Emblem Awakening was a huge turning point for the series, and also Robin has a very unique playstyle for a Fire Emblem character, using magic and having like a meter for what kind of magic they can use. I'm gonna try to keep just one between Byleth and Ike because I think 3 Fire Emblem reps is plenty. I think I'm gonna go with Byleth because 3 Houses was a huge hit on the Switch, so we'll have to cut Ike. He has a pretty unique playstyle. He's a sword character, but he's like a heavy, and you don't see a lot of that, I feel like. I wanted to try to keep 3 Fire Emblem characters, so unfortunately Ike is the kind of the odd man out. I feel like that makes the amount of Fire Emblem characters a lot more fair.
Congratulations! Failure.
Xenoblade gets to keep all 2 of its characters, or 3, I don't, depending on how you count them. I would count Power Method as 1, so they keep all 2 of their characters. Xenoblade has only gotten more popular as more games have come out in the series. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody came back. Okay, let's go rapid fire real quick with some just series that have only 1 or 2 reps. Splatoon, Inkling stays. Splatoon is a huge franchise for Nintendo and is only going to be getting more games, and they sell very well. Obviously, Inkling stays. Animal Crossing, I think in this scenario where we're trying to cut down characters and trying to keep characters that play uniquely from one another, I think we keep only 1 Animal Crossing character. I honestly think that Animal Crossing should have probably just had different Animal Crossing characters be alts for 1 singular character. So we're just gonna keep 1. I went with Villager, just so he could have like 4 different villager alts and different alts for different NPCs like you see in the Animal Crossing games. That does mean that Isabelle's getting cut, but really, I mean, I think you could go either way with this one, and you could keep both of them. I mean, Isabelle's very popular, but I think we could only afford to keep one in this scenario, so she's gone. Pikmin, Olimar stays. Pikmin's very popular. Olimar's not going anywhere. Earthbound. I almost axed this whole series, but in the later stages I decided to keep Ness just because of how iconic he is to Smash Bros. And how iconic Earthbound is for like hardcore RPG fans. He's also been around since the first Smash Bros. Game. He's very close to being cut. I could definitely see you disagreeing with me on that one, but I'm gonna keep him just because I think he's iconic to Smash, and Bound is a loved game, so we're gonna keep him. So just Lucas is gonna get cut. You gotta, come on, man. You gotta get your game localized. If you want us to know who you are, we gotta be able to play your game. So come on.
Congratulations! Failure.
Now it's time for some retro reps. We are keeping Captain Falcon, Mr. Game & Watch, Pit, and Little Mac. For the ones I cut Rob. I don't know, he's cool. He's not that iconic as a character. It's a cool retro rep for a part of Nintendo's history, but as a character, he's not nearly as iconic as a lot of characters on the roster that I'm keeping. I just think we're cutting down the roster. He's got to be one of the ones that have to go, much like the Ice Climbers. I know everybody loves them, but they're in one game outside the Smash Bros. Series, so I can't really justify keeping them. They've also been cut from Smash Bros. Before, so I just don't think they stick around in this scenario. Wii Fit Trainer goes just because she's not an overly iconic character. Her games are probably more iconic than the actual character we got, so I feel like it's kind of one of those things where the series was popular, but the character we got was kind of more of a representation of those games. She just makes sense to go. Talked about Pit earlier. The other reps in this series, Other Pit and Palutena, I feel like they also go. I know Palutena is especially popular. Kid Icarus had some games back in the day and one remake on the 3DS, but it hasn't been seen since the 3DS, and we're almost done with the Switch, so I feel like both of the characters outside of Pit have to go. Duck Hunt's a cool retro rep. I just had to cut him because of characters I wanted to keep who've had more appearances than he has. I mean, he had one game that was really iconic and popular back in the day. It's cool to see him here. I just think he has to go. I'm cutting Min Min 1 because ARMS was a letdown, and 2, her playstyle in this game is not really everyone's favorite. Now for the Miis, they should stay. They're a big part of one of the biggest consoles of all time in the Wii. We'll just confine them to one roster spot. I'm just kind of putting them in one roster slot for the sake of convenience.
Congratulations! Failure.
Now time for some big cuts, the third-party characters. Yeah, this sucked. Having to cut some of the biggest video game characters of all time was not fun. It was especially hard because I tried to not make this roster 30 Nintendo characters and 20 to 25 third-party characters, so I wanted there to be a smaller selection of third-party characters, so they still felt special, like cool inclusions, but they also weren't like half the roster. Kind of tried to find a sweet spot there. So I did have to make some tough decisions. Let's start with the ones that debuted in Brawl, Sonic and Snake. Both were really cool additions to this game, but Snake's gotta go. He's been cut from a Smash game before, and that kind of made this decision a little easier. Just with some other third-party reps, I just felt like they were more necessary than Snake was. He's still a really cool inclusion, but obviously, I mean, Sonic stays. Sonic stays because he's Sonic. I'm not cutting Sonic. Let's go ahead and cut some more. Joker and Terry. Both are really fun to play. I feel like Joker was a really good pick for 2018. I feel like it's a pick that probably won't age the best if he's left on the roster, even though Persona 5 is a cool game and Joker's a cool character. I didn't really know who Terry was before he got added, so I feel like it's pretty easy for me to cut him here. The Namco characters, Pac-Man and Kazuya. I'm keeping Pac-Man and I'm gonna trash Kazuya. Kazuya? Banjo and Kazooie? Man, I wrote Kazuya way too many times in the script. I think I was way too confident that I would be able to pronounce it right. This decision was purely based off Pac-Man being iconic. People who don't play a lot of video games will know who that is. And I don't like Kazuya that much. Clearly, I don't like him enough to learn how to pronounce his name. I'm gonna cut him. Speaking of fighting games though, Ken can go and Ryu can stay. I don't think in this scenario we need two Street Fighter characters, especially if they're very, very similar to one another. I don't feel like we need both. Speaking of Capcom though, I want to keep Mega Man because he's iconic, has a huge history with Nintendo, and he's just cool. I don't know. Also, Simon can stay. He also, like Mega Man, has a huge history with Nintendo. Kind of like a throwback character, but also has some more modern appearances, so Banjo and Richter can go. We don't need two of the same guy, but thanks. For Microsoft, Steve Minecraft stays, because it's Minecraft. If you can have Minecraft in any form in your game, you're going to keep it. Minecraft is huge. And Banjo is cut. If I'm being honest with you, Banjo was staying on the roster originally in this script. I made a last second decision when I was writing the script at 1 o'clock last night and decided that I didn't, even though I like Banjo and I've played his games and I like him as a character, I think he's fun, I can't keep him over Cloud Strife. I was originally going to cut Cloud Strife because I never really played Final Fantasy, but I can't really ignore how huge Final Fantasy VII was, and Cloud definitely deserves to be in this game over Banjo. So we're keeping Cloud. We're gonna cut Banjo, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm not apologizing. I'm apologizing to Banjo. I feel bad for him. He worked hard, you know. Even though Cloud's staying, I think we should cut Sephiroth. I think one Final Fantasy VII rep is enough. I don't think we need two. He's a cool character, but I think we're gonna cut him here. Last cut character goes to Bayonetta. Very close to staying in. She just barely missed the cut. Just had to prioritize some other iconic characters over her. She goes, and this is honestly just because I haven't really played her games. I'm sure in an actual scenario she'd do a lot better. Her series relationship with Nintendo is pretty good, so I think she would probably stay in an actual version of this happening. But for my video, she's gonna get cut. I just don't know her games that well. We are now down to our last two characters, and for the count for this video, only one of them can stay. So we're down between Sora and Hero. To some of you, this might seem very obvious, but here's the problem. I've never played Kingdom Hearts. I'm not overly familiar with it, and honestly, I haven't played Dragon Quest either, but I do play Hero in this game a lot, and I've got a poster of him on my wall. So I'm gonna let my bias kick in here. Don't get mad at me. I'm gonna let my bias kick in. I'm picking Hero over Sora. I know Kingdom Hearts is a big game. Hear me out on this one, okay? Dragon Quest has been around since the 80s on a lot of Nintendo consoles. Both characters should probably make it in, okay? I'm not saying that Sora doesn't deserve to be here, but I am trying to make a case for Hero. Kingdom Hearts games are probably bigger. Dragon Quest is a more consistent series with a lot of games on Nintendo consoles. Kingdom Hearts has a lot less games on Nintendo consoles. So I think they're even. I think this could go either way. I'm telling you that right now, I'd be a lot happier if Hero was on the roster over Sora. So I'm gonna take Hero because it's my list. Sorry to Sora fans, but he's gone, and I'm gonna keep Hero instead.
Congratulations! Failure.
So this is my cut down roster. I think if we were in a situation where we got the roster cut in half and this is what we got, I would be very happy and very, very satisfied with this roster. Let me know what you think of my roster in the comments and what decisions you disagree with. It'd be nice to also have some you agree with as well, because I think there'll be a lot that people disagree with in this video, but that's okay. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you made it this far and you enjoyed this and you enjoy content like this. I will see you in the next video. Let me know what kind of content you see from me next. I still have to figure out how to do outro.